All right, Sistas fans, here we are, episode 6, No Judgment. Off the rip, this is probably the best episode since episode 3. Episodes 4 and 5 left a lot to be desired, but I think this was a pretty solid episode. I think what really helped is the fact that we got a nice mix in the episode of all the ladies. Obviously, Andy and Karen storylines took up a lot of the episode, where Sabrina and Danny's were kind of, the side stories, if you will. But, we have Andy at the law firm, and her boss is pretty much pushing Jasmine on her, basically because it's money over dignity, and basically shows Andy the net worth of Gary and the fact that this could cost the law firm a lot of money if the case is taken elsewhere, due to the fact that Jasmine kind of signed some paperwork, so it would be kind of a negative thing if she wasn't accepted for this particular case with Andy, because she wants her to do it. Then we have Jasmine in the office with Andy. And also, I'm sorry about this, I need to bring this up. Andy's boss makes a point that this isn't a threat, but I need you to do your job. So we have Jasmine about to hand over the ring to Andy, saying it belongs to you. And it's kind of like the moment for the preview of this episode that had us going, all snap, does she know? But no. She's actually making a note to say, hey, I know this is going to cost me a lot of money, so we might as well just start, putting down the down payment now with the ring. But she's pretty much, very upset about the fact that one moment he comes in all upset and ready to make things work, but then not too long afterwards comes in saying it's all over, saying, oh yeah, I know he probably has some trouble with his $5 whore, and then, decides to leave me for her. And it's even terrible because our children, one of them has autism. He was very upset. So Gary wasn't lying about that fact. And I wasn't thinking that he was lying when he originally brought it up to Andy, but I thought that was a pretty dumb thing to bring up in the moment, where you're going to give her an ultimatum as to, what do you want me to do? Well, I can't leave. So why would you just pin that kind of pressure on her? So we have a situation where Jasmine gives over the private eyes information to Andy so she can look into it, because at the moment that private eye hasn't found squat. So I don't know. Andy looking into this it's almost like, Andy got the answer sheet from the teacher without the teacher knowing it, even though the teacher handed it over to the student. So she decides to look at the answer sheet, but will she actually find something that will actually help her? Or is her contacting the private eye going to be a situation where the private eye is going to be coming to her doorstep? It's one of those cases, because in the preview for this week's episode, I think Gary is over at her place and she's like, what are you even doing here? So that might be a bad sign that the private eye might be looking into Andy at some point in the near future. Andy also says something that pretty much triggers Jasmine, as she's going on about the fact that, he's leaving and everything. He's like, well, maybe he has his reasons. Like, what reasons? Like, what reasons could a man have to up and abandon his family for some whore? But she pretty much calms down because, she was having a moment. So we have Danny and Maurice, my bad. Yeah, the first time those two are interacting on screen, and it's kind of like some funny tension there, nothing too major, but Danny pretty much breaks in line at work with Sabrina, just talking about the whole Calvin situation and the fact that, Zach came on to Danny. So they pretty much, both have to deal with situations where Sabrina shouldn't jump to conclusions, and then we have, she should just ask Calvin about it, the lingerie situation. And then with Zach, Sabrina's like, you know what, I think you're just, making a mountain out of a molehill. He was high using that pen. Hell, that one time I took that stuff, I was hitting on you as well, but we don't talk about that. So that's pretty much it. And also Danny should not tell Karen about the whole situation with Zach. That's pretty much it. And I'm not saying that this was a bad scene, it's just that there isn't much to talk about. We have Andy listening to Gary's voicemails, I believe, and she's yelling at him over that. Aaron actually comes in and wants to get his divorce done today. And after 30 minutes, he said, hey, let me call my wife. She'll be down in 30 minutes. Andy calls Karen about it and the fact that, hey, you know what? Aaron's here right now, but cheating is one of the things that is the thing that's a deal breaker. So don't cheat on him, because apparently his wife cheated on him multiple times, and he's pretty much got all the paperwork lined up. The only thing that needed is the wife to be there when the papers are notarized. But what? I'll leave her 1.8 million in the settlement. We'll have shared custody so long as she maintains therapy. And what is it? She can get the house, the car, and up to what, $22,000 a month. So it's just like, dang, how do all these men? What, is Zach like the only man so far in the series that isn't paid, with some money? I don't count Maurice because he's more of a side comedic character, where I'm talking more about the men who are involved with women, like, Gary and Andy, Aaron and Karen, and Zach and Danny. So those two get together, they both barely, they're getting, oh, excuse me, man. I'm sorry. I yawned in the Oval video. I didn't mean to do that. Those two are getting by with the airport job. So yeah, Aaron, dang, all that money. So let's see. We have Danny and Zach also briefly talking about how he's sober now and he wants to apologize from last night. But long story short, it's kind of like they're reminiscing on the past. And hey, Danny is like, I was actually interested in you, but you pushed me on to Karen. But it is about her dual personas, where the one Danny who's like outspoken and loud versus the actual kind, friendly Danny. Like, that's the one that's the one Zach likes. And as long as that Danny doesn't show up, then their living arrangements are fine. I don't know. I got a bit confused during this scene, to be completely honest, but Danny just wants Zach to talk with Karen, but he's actually just done with the situation. So then we have Sabrina and Karen, and she's moving on from Zach, and they talk about the whole Calvin situation with the panties. So they're, it turns out that Danny told everybody in their in their group chat, so to speak, and she doesn't want to feel judgmental. So it's kind of like this scene picks up with what Danny was telling Sabrina. So after that, we have Andy, Fawn, and Aaron. Now, she wants to make sure that Fawn isn't being pressured into signing the divorce papers, but also the fact that, Aaron is very hot, very stern, and it seems demanding. Stern and demanding. But they go along and sign the papers. It turns out she was cheating on him with a man named Skip. And she's begging, I think she even brings up the fact that she begged Karen to give him 6 months to work out their marriage. And then Aaron even flips out over that. And for rightful reason, like, why are you going to see the girl who I literally just went on one date? Well, I saw how you were looking at her. So pretty much Fawn jumped to conclusions. And in my mind, I'm kind of coming up with some kind of theory. Some people are thinking that Fawn cheated because of Aaron's angry persona and whatnot. I'm more inclined to say that might be a factor in it, but Aaron does seem to be somewhat of a level-headed guy. True, him and Karen did not have the best first encounter at the grocery store, but I feel like Fawn, just based off how she's acting, I think that she probably assumed that any woman that is smiling or Aaron is somewhat friendly with, she assumes that he's cheating on her. And then that might explain the whole Skip situation. Like, she just slept with Skip multiple times because of the fact that she felt that Aaron was cheating on her multiple times. And didn't Aaron say that he served in the military at some point? So that could explain where, maybe his time after he, left. Wait, yeah, that's right. He talked about it to Karen on their first date. So maybe after he left service, maybe he had some anger issues after that. I don't know for sure, but Fawn definitely doesn't seem like she's all there. I'm not saying that she's nutty or anything, but Aaron did mention therapy, so she might have some kind of insecurities or something going on here. We just don't know yet. But even after signing the papers, and I think one of the main reasons she signed the papers in that moment was because of the fact that she thought that by signing the papers that those two could work on each other. But he's like, nope. It's like, you know what? We'll try it again after I can get the thoughts of, you cheating on me out of my mind. So we move on from there, from Calvin going to the bank to see Sabrina, bring her flowers and everything. They pretty much talk about the night before, and he wants to prove that, hey, I can get it up. But only after, Sabrina has fun with her girls when they have their girls' night. And moving on to page 2, which is not much. I think I only have like 3 lines of dialogue here. So we have Andy and Karen pretty much talking about the situation with Aaron's divorce. And I believe it was stated that Andy helped chip into the salon that Karen has. So she pretty much jokes about, okay, well, it's good to hear you're making some money so you can pay me back the money I helped put in there. So yeah, those two are definitely good friends. Danny and Zach have a brief conversation. And he says, hey, you know what? I'll talk to Karen. That's pretty much it. And then we have Karen going home. Aaron is waiting for her, so it's kind of awkward. You know, Fawn meets up with her at her job. Now Aaron at the house. And he pretty much wants to tell her about the whole situation, about, I wanted to tell you in person. I apologize for my wife coming to see you. I will make sure that it never happens again. And I got a divorce. And right as they kiss, or should I say, right as Aaron grabs Karen and they kiss, Zach rolls up on his bike. I thought that was pretty funny. So that was the end of the episode. Yeah, 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was a decent episode. Nothing to write home about. I thought it was definitely better than the previous 2 episodes. And I think it gave all the ladies something to do. I think Sabrina probably got the least amount of screen time in compared to the other women. I could be wrong, but I think that we definitely got more meat to the story of Andy, Karen, and even Danny and Zach got more screen time than Sabrina and Calvin. But I think that's building up for next week or the week after, well, this week or the episode after that. So Sistas is it's holding steady. I don't know exactly how well the show's going to do overall by the end of season 1. I think that most people I know aren't watching, and I know that seems like a weird assumption, but I judge it based off of comments, responses to my post on Instagram, Twitter, and even my sister's Facebook group is probably the smallest out of all the ones I have. I got If Loving You Is Wrong, the haves and the have-nots. Kind of a nice segue because links to my social media are in the description below. But yeah, I have a group for pretty much all these shows: Greenleaf, Ambitions, Have and Have-nots, If Loving You Is Wrong, The Oval, Sistas. But yeah, Sistas is literally the smallest group, and I'm trying to pull up the group right now on my phone to see if I can get an exact number. In here, there's only 83 members, but if you go over to The Oval, that has, well, 375, but I have 25 memberships pending, so 400 members. So yeah, it is easily the smallest group. I mean, Greenleaf only has 90, but I don't really post in there that much. So yeah, I might do a separate video about Sistas. But just, what do you think about the show? For the people who do watch, what do you think about it? I've said this for the past couple of weeks now. It might do better as a 30-minute show or a 22-minute show as opposed to 42. I don't think it has enough. Episodes like this were pretty solid, but the previous 2 episodes really do prove this show doesn't work well as an hour-long show, because it doesn't show a lot to garner my attention. And the time slot I don't think helps at all. 10 to 11 p.m. on Wednesdays. People got to go to work and school on Thursday. Ew. I don't know. I want the show to do well, but I think it would probably do better on the OWN network. I think the ratings for Sistas would be acceptable on OWN, but I don't know how it's going to fly on BET. So we'll just have to wait and see. So let me know your thoughts. Maybe I'll do a video about, can Sistas survive past season 1? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how things play out. The Oval, on the other hand, I feel like it's getting better with each episode. Ratings are holding steady. But Sistas, on the other hand, okay. Speaking of numbers, we are less than 1,600 people away from 100,000 subscribers. So make sure you hit that subscribe button on my channel. As I said a few moments ago, links to my social media are in the description below. And with that being said, I will catch you on the next video.